we're here to visit. It's our community, and I'm Mary Davidson. We have Tim Colley with us today. Tim is the CEO of Bird Sings greeting card company. Tim has created the most wonderful business, and well, I just can't tell you. And in doing so, he has given opportunities to emerging artists, to himself, who writes sentiments, and to other people who do it as well. So it's really your company, but it's a combined effort.
Oh, absolutely, Mary.
And to your friend Angel, we want to give him
my
credit.
partner Angel, who's my partner in life and business. Thank you.
And that's important, because we don't want to leave Angel out.
No, he's been a great support. And yes, it is the combination of a dream that began in my mind that is supported by the talent and work of so many people. That's one of the joys of it.
But the positive statement was not always true. Tim Colley was married at 21. He lived in Denver. He was making a lot of money. You were in sales, doing good. He had a child, and he and his wife, and he went to be near his parents in Wichita, where he finished his degree at Friends University. I mean, I think that's important because you had a lot on your plate, and yet you took the time to go back to school. You thought that was important. You were in pharmaceutical sales. Selling pills is very lucrative. And then, in 2000, your life imploded.
Yeah, it did. What I had found was my whole life I was given gifts that allowed me to be successful in different fields, and sales was one of them. I did very well, and then I married. I really tried to follow all the rules and be everything that I thought I was supposed to be, but parts of my life just weren't authentic.
Well, they weren't put together quite right.
Yeah, and I tried so hard to become what I thought I was supposed to be rather than who I was. And in 2000, as you mentioned, when my life imploded, that was when I could no longer bear the weight of living parts of my life as an imposter.
But Grandpa, you have two very nice daughters and a grandchild.
I do, two beautiful girls.
Some good things came out of that.
Oh, yes, and my ex-wife and I are great friends. In fact, she lives in Amsterdam in Europe now, and she'll be visiting, I think she's arriving today, and my partner Angel and I will be going to see her and the grandbaby and my daughter in Wichita over the weekend. We're great friends.
I think that's nice. But you know, don't you think that it's not unique to you that people's lives don't always fit together for various and sundry reasons, not always for the same reason, but you have to find how to put your life together so that you can function. Yeah. But you were pretty far down there in 2000.
Yes, yes, I really saw
didn't have any
very
money.
Little reason to live at that point.
And you didn't have any money.
No, I had lost everything.
And it was really, did you ever think that brighter days, did you have a belief that brighter days were coming? Did you have any idea what you might do?
No, I didn't. In fact, every day was really one day at a time. It was getting up and just being able to, and at the time, endure the day, survive the day. And then those days building up, joy started entering slowly, and until I found happiness. And I think in a state of happiness, there's where hope comes.
And creative
dreams,
thinking.
And dreams.
Were you doing the greeting cards then?
No.
No,
Not then. No.
Well, at that point then, and I know that you do believe that when people fulfill their natural purpose in life, the work flows effortlessly, and like a bird sings or a flower blooms. But that was not to be just yet.
You're right.
So you moved to Kansas City and worked yourself out of a very good job. So it wasn't quite time for the flower to bloom and the birds to sing. And then entered Duke Tufte. So talk about him a little bit as a force in your life that made changes, because I think he's really a very interesting person and has helped many, many people.
I agree with you. He's remarkable. I started attending his church, Unity Temple on the Plaza, during the year 2000 when I hit my bottom, and it became so important in my life that I actually moved from South Overland Park to the West Plaza area so that I could be closer, because I found myself spending so much time there. It was the one place where I felt completely accepted. and it became a fertile ground for me to explore who I am and what I like. I'd spent most of my life trying to just be what I thought everyone wanted me to be. And at this point, I finally got to think about, and I was, everything brings a gift, I really believe. I mean, losing everything relieved all the pressure of expectations. There was nothing anybody could expect from me anymore. Oh, it was wonderful. And so I got to just start as an infant and learn about myself and life in a whole new way.
Well, one of the sentiments on your greeting card says, "You possess beauty and strength. If you ever see things differently, I can clear it up for you."
Exactly. All of these, if it hadn't been for these experiences, I couldn't have written these cards. It all went into it.
But I have to say, because I think there are a lot of people out there that have been in the position that you found yourself in August of 2009. You were 47 years old. And that's not a good place to be when you're absolutely clueless about where to go. And you thought that at that point that was truly all she wrote.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
And you had one more month of savings.
Yeah.
But you now, by this time, had managed the gift shop at Unity Temple, and you had started in the greeting card stuff.
Right. Leading up to that, I had left. The career ended, and then I started to have. I started considering the idea that there's more I can do with my life. There's a greater contribution I want to make in this world while I'm here, and then this greeting card idea surfaced. I took a class at Kauffman Foundation, and different things leading up to it. And then I sat with Duke Tufte and told him I want to start a greeting card company. And he said, "How'd you like to run our store?" And I said, "Okay." And so within a month, I left this big career I had and was running the gift shop at Unity Temple on the Plaza in the basement and the lower level down with Eden Alley. And using some of my design talents, I helped redesign the entire environment of the space and completely revamped, doubled the size of the store, doubled the sales in the store, and had a wonderful, wonderful time. And I'm surrounded by all these great books about how to live the life of your dream. And I started reading them, and then I started believing them, and then I started practicing them.
As long as you were selling them, you thought you might as well read them.
Yeah, because people would come in and say how wonderful they were and how they changed their life.
One of your best-selling cards, it's really interesting. When things seemed like it wasn't going to work, you got a telephone call from Escondido, California.
Yeah. You've done your research.
I do. I checked on you.
Yeah.
Yep.
And this was actually during the holiday season. It was like November, December, and Angel and I are sitting there over the most we could afford at the time was the CC, which was lovely, the CC's Buffet in Roland Park. And we were sitting there, and I'm saying, one of us is going to have to get a job because we've got enough money to get us to January retirement, and that's it.
Air sandwiches don't do it.
Exactly. It's not going to keep you Tricia for too long. And so, yeah, it was a very serious moment. And what went through my mind was, how could God, or whatever you believe, help us reach this point with our greeting card company? Because it was going at a good pace, but the money wasn't coming in fast enough to cover the expenses.
Well, you weren't selling enough cards.
Not
you
yet.
had to have more outlets for those cards.
Right.
But Escondido, California had a number of outlets, did they not?
Yeah, they had a 16-rep sales force that they brought to us. And
that was a lot more than two.
Yes, a lot more than two. And it was also a confirmation or an affirmation that we are being taken care of. I think more than anything, it was thank you. You know, we're being taken care of. We're going to get through this. And I haven't been a fool for believing that there's a purpose in my life and that I am being held up by something bigger than me. And
well, you know, I talk to a lot of people, and I think that a common thread runs through all of them that are successful, and that is that they do believe. Mm-hmm. If they keep, as my mother used to say, putting one foot in front of the other and moving forward, they believe that it's going to be okay. And I think state of mind is really, really important.
I agree. I think it's everything. In fact, I just was asked to be a guest lecturer at a senior center here in Kansas City last week, and one of the things that I really focused on is the biggest thing we'll ever change in our life is our mind, and mostly our mind about ourselves.
Now there's a sentiment for you.
It is. I would love to put that on a card. I would love to share that with the world because it took me so long to learn that. And when I changed my mind about myself, all the success is just a side effect of that. The thing that had to happen was I had to believe good things about myself, believe I was worthy of good things. And as you said, that's when my mind began realizing all the good things I could be doing and how to do them. And then it all just, everything I have needed has shown up right when I need it. Just like that phone call from California at CiCi's Pizza on a cold November night. I mean, everything has shown up when I've needed it. And we have been so blessed, so blessed.
One of your best-selling cards is a sympathy card. And I think the sentiment, I'd like to read it to you. We are all connected, so no one ever leaves our lives. You're not alone. Even the love that appears lost in our presence is still with you today. And I think that's if again, it helps people, and that's a lot of what these cards do. If you read the sentiment, it helps people.
Thank you.
And some of them are kind of funny, but nevertheless, they have a point.
Thank you.
This is another best-selling one. This is Janis Joplin's picture on the front, and it says, "Don't compromise yourself. You're all you've got." And it's true.
It's true.
And I think people do sell themselves short. But I want to, on the back of all the cards that you design and write the sentence for, it says, "Live the life you love and love the life you live." And this card carries a blessing of love and healing. And it's on the back of every one of those cards that you have put together yourself. And I think that's nice. In the literal sense of the word, Tim, that's nice.
I can't imagine a greater thing I could contribute to this world while I'm here than to share a blessing of love and healing with the world. And Mary, you know, I'll get an email from some customer who was so touched by my card on some other part of the country that they will look at my contact information and write me and tell me how much it blessed them. And then you know you're doing the right thing.
I love this one. You brought a whole bunch of them, but this is the Spanish Romeo, a portrait, and in the inside it says, "Dios mío, you are one fine female," and it says, "Happy birthday." But on the back, then, it gives you the name of the artist, and she says her name is Jackie Denning.
Correct.
That did the dog, and she says, "Making stuff makes me happy." And I think that's just wonderful. And there's Jackie Denning. She did the card. So the point is that you help artists too. This is another person that's helped, because when Jackie Denning sells you a picture, she makes money.
Yes, and she gets credit for her work, and then her work touches the lives of people she'll never meet. And in fact, we're speaking of doing good work, we've just been involved. We've begun the process of working with Wayside Waifs. We're creating a greeting card holiday line for them to help raise funds strictly for what, so all the profit will go to Wayside Waifs.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And we're very grateful to have this opportunity.
I think that's wonderful. So, you know, cast your bread upon the waters. And I think that is true. The people that you employ to put faces on your greeting cards are not all painters. Some of them are photographers. And this one, I thought this one is really funny. And the photographer here is Wolfie, and he says, "Life with no expectations." And the photograph says, "Sometimes we carry each other, and sometimes we walk side by side. And either way, it's fun sharing this life experience with you." They're nice. It's nice. They're nice. And I know that the people who buy them, you know, they go through all of them, and they either and I looked at a lot of them, and some of them bring a smile to your face, and some of them kind of tug at your heart, and some of them you think, well, you know, that's me in that sentiment. So
I hope so. I try to be very honest with them. In fact, the lost card that you quoted, That was the hardest line for me to write because I really want the cards to be honest, and to write the lost cards, what I found myself do was go back through old emails and cut and paste lines from them without using details, of course, so that you could come straight from my heart. So they're very intimate for me.
Okay, now let's get down to the nitty-gritty of the card business.
Sure.
The sentiment.
Mm-hmm.
How long should it be? Does that enter your mind when you write it? Should it be so many words? Should it rhyme? Should it what?
That's a great question. In the beginning, I was so amateur at this and so novice that what I do is I put a photograph in front of me on my computer. I light incense. I set music. I mean, it's my meditation time. And then I think of somebody I love, maybe Angel, maybe my daughter, maybe my grandson, maybe my parents, and then I write. And it just begins a flow. And then I'll do 12 cards in
on different subjects?
A short sitting.
On different subjects?
Yes, and I actually try to not think about whether or not someone's going to buy this card or how it's going to relate. That's the biggest challenge, is to not think about that and let it be as honest as possible. Then I go back and edit the cards and see, is this appropriate? Is this something somebody would, is the text something that somebody would like to give for a specific occasion? And then I've learned now, I've been on a very steep learning curve, that less is more. So I'm going back and
nobody wants to sit down and read a book.
A novel. Yeah, we didn't buy a book, we bought a card. So I'm doing less is more, and so yeah, they're getting more and more brief as I go.
And how do you tailor, because a lot of different kinds of people buy these cards, and obviously you can't have a card for every person, and we're all different. So how do you tailor the sentiment for the masses, as it were? I mean,
well, and that's one thing. I really think that when people comment on my line, they say they see a consistency to it. They see a certain spirituality about it, even in the funny cards. And the thing that's consistent is they all come from somewhere that flows through me. I mean, I don't take credit for it being me, but something that flows through me. And that part I won't disturb. I absolutely won't. And I hope that everyone could find a sentiment that expresses their emotions to someone in the cards, but I simply won't change the source of where this writing comes from.
In other words, the writing is honest and it comes from within you, and you hope that it will please the people.
I do.
Look at. Yeah. This is an interesting one because the image is the Beatles, and it was done, I want to give her credit, by Natasha Peters, and she said, "I just want to see you smile." But the interesting part, and besides the very nice painting that she has contributed, the interesting part that I want to talk about is, in the inside it says, "In the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make." This is a quote by Paul McCartney.
Yes, it is.
When you use a quote by somebody who's living, how do you, are these without, can you just pick it up and use it?
Right. The important thing is to research that they're public domain. In other words, they were not used as a copyright situation where they weren't originally printed in a book or written as a script, but they were something someone spoke, and so they become public domain. And even the quotes, although I don't write the quotes, of course, I personally select the ones that go onto the cards.
That you like. But I guess the point is you have to be careful that they are in the public domain.
Oh, always respect copyright laws. In fact, we have a wonderful copyright attorney that we work with.
Because I want everybody to understand that you don't go and just pick and choose what you want.
Yeah.
The art. You have a lot of different artists, and there are a lot of them out there that you didn't choose. How do you choose the art that you think will appeal to the people that you want to buy your cards?
Oh, wonderful questions. I initially was close friends with Laura Nugent and Michael Wolfie, and there's one of Laura Nugent's right there, and they were just very involved in my life and supportive of this project I was doing. So they made it easy. So I created large lines with their work in the beginning, and then I pursued more artists. But now artists are pursuing me, and. In fact, I'm very thrilled. You'll be the first to announce that Kevin Sink will now be, his photography will now be on our cards.
That's wonderful. wonderful.
Yes, incredible local photographer.
And these are all very lovely pieces of art that you have chosen.
Things I love, and ones that are distinctly different. So I don't want collections
all three of these were very different.
Yeah, I don't want collections that have crossover. So I try to, when I bring on a new artist, I want work that is nothing like anything else I have.
Well, and I think that's very important. I can't get that thing to stand up. Do you have to like the art?
Oh, yes. I don't know another way to say that, Mary. Yes, I do. It has to move me. If it touches me emotionally, then that is how I'm able to create the cards. So, and my definition of art, I am a huge fan of artists in general, but my definition of art is that something that you see every day, but the artist, it becomes art when someone helps you see it differently, or it arises an emotion or a feeling within you.
Well, this one is, I want to talk about graphic design, and this one I think is a good example of graphic design. And it's appealing, and it says, "Thanks a latte." I just love that. But this has a red bow on it, has a red rim. Are you the graphic designer?
Well, now, I'm glad you asked. This is actually a brand new collection that
That's why we showed it.
Rolling out. And these cards are actually smaller than our current cards, which the current line is 5x7s, and those are all retail at $3.25.
See, here's the current
correct.
line.
The difference in size. And the new one is a very intimate feeling card, but they're all hand assembled. And these are done by actually my former sister-in-law, a remarkable artist. Her name is Debbie Menez. And she's creating this hand embellished line that is just lovely. And then we're doing more along that line. And I think, and this is based on a request from a high-end gourmet retailer who's asked us to go in their stores. These cards are going to sell from $6 to $8 a piece. And the card becomes the gift, really, because they're so special. And I think this is what's going to make the name for us more than anything, are these fabulous new cards.
But the graphic design, I want to bring you back to that graphic design. How you put this thing together makes me pick it up. And this says "Happy Birthday," and this is a beautiful piece of art. But who puts them together?
Well, and interestingly enough, I've gotten, the company has grown enough that I've hired my first graphic designer. Her name is Amanda, and she comes from Hallmark. I mean, she had been with Hallmark, and now she's with me, and we discussed the direction, but I have to give her credit. She's the one who did the layout on the card you just had in your hand, and it's wonderful. Up until now, though, I've done all the layout. And then Debbie did the
You've been a one-man band.
I have. And so now it's a joy to have the help of others and let them feel the joy of seeing their card design sitting there.
But you haven't let go.
No.
You're still CEO.
I'm still part of it all.
Yes. A lot of success can often be very frightening. Did that happen to you?
Oh, you're very insightful. Yes, that was the hardest part. These things would start happening, and it would frighten me. An angel would say, "Why are you upset over this good news?" And inside, there was a part of me that felt undeserving of it. And this isn't me. Again, changing my mind about myself. And what I learned, Mary, I have a couple of mantras. And one is, I will not be the obstacle that prevents this company from being as big as it needs to be or wants to be. And that means my fear is going to get out of the way. When I'm scared I'm not good enough or deserving of what's happening, I get help from other people to get the job done, and I keep taking one step in front of the other, because I know that fear is going to pass, and then we're still going to be where we were always intended to be.
But let's go back to the word. You believe.
Yeah, I do.
You believe.
Yeah.
And I also, but that fear is, I mean, it is real, because you think, I call it the Chicken Little syndrome. You know, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. and you think, well, this is too good to be true. This can't last, you know. And tomorrow it's all going to go away. And it doesn't if you keep going and if you believe. And I think that, so what would you say? Is your business now successful, very successful, really successful, going great guns? How would you describe your business today?
I actually just returned from a large gift show in Atlanta last night, and you know, I never know what gifts I'll get. I knew I would get gifts by taking the trip and being there. And I got to meet with, I was very fortunate, I got to have private time with 3 different owners of very large, successful greeting card companies whose work I've admired for years. And I got to actually be there with them. And what I learned, Mary, was that I've been so busy going, and with the help, I want to point out, too, of my national sales manager, Mary Flockus, amazing. And what I've learned is that in talking to these people, I'm already at the point that took them 6 to 7 years to get to in 1 year. In 1 year being wholesale, I'm at a point that took them 6, 7 to 10 years to get to.
How do you explain that?
I think a lot of my experience in business, I think most people who get in the greeting card business don't have the sales and marketing experience I've had. So I've been able to, and also the ability to sell to the big guys. I mean, we, again, with the help of Mary, we have been going into some very large accounts, and we now are up to almost 40 sales reps across the country and 1 in the Virgin Islands.
Do you ever think about the number of people that Bird Sings supports? I mean, the sales, you have so many sales reps, but each one of those people has a family. Yeah. They have children, and Bird Sings supports a lot of people.
That brings me great joy. Thank you for pointing that out. Well, and then the retailers who make the profit off the cards.
But you directly are responsible. Keeping up your creative thought is very important. But think of all the people that are part of, really a day-to-day part of Bird Sings.
Thank you, Mary.
Isn't that wonderful?
It is a tremendous joy.
It is.
And one of my hopes in building the business was that we would be a success so that we could inspire many other people to follow their dream, because I know I'm not the only one who has the idea that I know I'm not doing what I'm meant to do. I want those people to say, hey, this guy did it, and look, he made it work, and it's successful. I can do it. Particularly my children. I would love for my children to do what they love and support themselves doing
Maybe
it.
your grandson will be your business partner one of these days.
Oh, I would love that. He's got to be on one of my cards soon. He's so adorable.
So what's the future for Bird Sings?
Oh, well, we're opening, I get so excited. We're opening our very first, we left the Unity store to go out and do our cards wholesale. Well, Duke Tufte called us up a year later and said, we miss you. Everyone's missed you since you left. Any chance you'd open a flagship store here at Unity again? We want you back. And I said, well, as a matter of fact, we're looking for corporate space, and I think it'd be a great idea to have a storefront. So he made us a deal we couldn't refuse. So we're going to be back at Unity Temple with a store and corporate offices. We'll probably be opening the first part of September. And we're rolling out new gift lines. We're bringing out the new high-end line. There's so many. We're doing permanent displays now, these beautiful displays that will now be, we already have displays in stores, but ones that are just designed as Bird Sings, and they're extraordinary. And
you are a very busy guy, and your bottom line is, I read it in your bio, it says, don't give up.
Yeah.
And I want, Bird Sings has a mission statement, and I want to read you part of it. Just as the bird sings, the flower blooms, and the tree shades. When we express our natural purpose, we do so without effort. In fact, we find exhilaration from doing that which we were always intended to do. Isn't that wonderful? Tim and I both hope you take away from our visit inspiration, encouragement, and above all, hope. Thank you, Tim Colley.
Thank you, Mary.
The Bird Sings. Thanks for being with us. It's our community.